Hello. So, in a week when we thought there wasn't very much going on in the news world in crypto, we certainly are having quite a ride. It is Wednesday, heading into Thursday, Asian Open trading, and after the Monday's pretty horrible shakeout, we've had a really nasty bounce. And after the bounce, you're always looking for the pullback and what kind of bottoming pattern are we going to see? Are we going to have a higher low? Are we going to have a typical crypto double bottom, or what kind of bottoming pattern are we going to get from here? One of the reasons I'm a little bit nervous is there seems to be nothing that should affect crypto directly, but if Iran strikes Israel tonight, then, which it seems to be, on the news wires, that's what it's looking like, then we could get some pretty nasty volatility. We could also say that most stock indexes have stopped going down and they've paused and they're going sideways, but they're not going up yet. We're really in a kind of choppy sideways range, trying to make a bottom in stock indexes as well. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ, which is most closely correlated with crypto. And you can see here on this daily chart, we've had a very nice bounce from this daily 200 moving average. We bounced back to the key resistance level, which is this very nice support and resistance level at 18,500. Haven't been able to overcome it. If we look, we've tried it twice and here we are having a pullback. And so really on a 4-hour daily chart, we are still in a downtrend, and we're now going to see if we can make a bottom with this retest of the lows, or if we're going to hold this daily 200 moving average. And that's pretty much the story of most stock indexes that you look at. And if we take a look at what we have done in Bitcoin, here in Bitcoin, let's put regular candles on. We've had a very nice bounce from this daily 50 moving average, from the bottom of this parallel channel, which we could kind of fiddle a bit with. When you have a third touch of a trend line, it's very often a false break. But if you want to validate that trend line, you kind of need it to stay in on that third touch. That's what validates it. So we do have a very valid channel here now, and we've bounced off these lows, and we've bounced off this 52,800 equal measured move level. But so far, it's been a little inside bar sideways. One of the things that I look at for a bullish reversal in terms of candlestick patterns, if you're a candlestick trader and you're looking for signs of a bottom, is for this last really nasty down thrust candle, we would need to close up on a daily close more than 50% up of the body. That's from between the open and close, not counting the tail. That would be a candlestick bullish reversal here. And you can see these 50% levels, like when we made the bottom here at the beginning of July. Look, this 50% back of this thrust candle, let's mark it like this, was a pretty tough resistance. Gosh, 8 days before we could get above it. Then as soon as we closed above it and back above this moving average, we were on our way up again. So that for me is quite a good, in terms of daily candlesticks, quite a good sign of a bullish reversal. If we go down to our 4-hour 20 moving average, which is a pretty good support and resistance, has knocked us back. For me though, rather than trying to decide what level or pullback the market's going to reverse at, I really do like Heikin-Ashi candles, and I really do like the 4-hour for trend trades. So if we look at this bounce that we had off the lows, as soon as this went red and we broke the low of this first red candle, for me, I got out. So we've had a really nice bounce. We're going to see now if we get a bottoming pattern. So the bounce in Bitcoin has been, I think we got 17% off the lows. Because of everything that's going on and because of the risk that tonight could be a little bit ugly, I do think if you bought this, you really do need to take some profit or maybe ease off a bit, because it's so common in crypto and Bitcoin to make those horrible double bottom retests where you actually test the lows. Whenever we make a top, we tend to do that. Here we made a high, really big pullback, false break, higher retest of a slightly higher high, and Bitcoin just tends to do that a lot. Crypto assets tend to do that a lot. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me if we came cool-eyed a long way back with this pullback, or even made a double bottom. So we need to be a little bit careful. ETH has been pretty muted, but very similar thing. If we take a look at the daily, we have not, the resistance in the daily for ETH was the 50% of the open close of this really nasty final down red candle. It's called a Maribosu line. So a Maribosu candle is a candle like this, where you have a big body, very little candlestick either way, and very often 50% back of these big candles, even if it's quite some time when you come back, can be really interesting support and resistance. So this one, it was a long time before we came back to this candle, and you can see that the first time back to it, we bounced from it quite a few times. This is how these candles work. And so that's where we have been unable to get above in ETH as well. And so now we're going to look for that higher low or that retest of the lows to hold. Solana, which was my favorite knife pick before, you can see on the 4 hour we've rolled out over at these 4 hour moving averages after a really nice rally off the lows. The rally in Solana was 40%, which is really impressive. Now I'm looking for 132, which would be kind of halfway back and previous pretty good support and resistance in Solana to be support on this pullback. But again, this is crypto. We could do a really deep pullback. So I've certainly sold a little, kept some, waiting for this pullback. And the best corrections or pullbacks, or the best signs that they are over, is when you can see like 3 waves. So when you can see 3 clear waves with a bounce in the middle, that also adds weight to this potentially being a pretty good pullback buy. So I'm not going to buy it until I see the price action of how we get down here or what happens here. But I'm kind of looking at 132 in Solana to hold on this pullback. And I think if we don't, that we are likely to see quite a deep pullback and maybe a retest of the lows in 108, 109. The big story tonight, of course, is Ripple. So Ripple is up 23% already. So finally, after many year battle with the SEC, it's finally over. They have a judge has decided that Ripple have to pay quite a modest fine of 125 million for selling to institutional investors. Nobody's called it a security, and that actually in the big picture of things is a pretty small fine. When you think that the SEC have spent over 350 million in taxpayer dollars to go after Ripple only to lose it, it's just been, I'm very glad this is finally over, let's put it this way. But let's look at the chart in Ripple and see, because we really need a little bit higher to break out of this consolidation that we've been in. So we've been in this, if you like, wedge consolidation, tighter and tighter around these weekly moving averages. You know, again, I know I say this a lot, third touches of trend lines, you want to see them be false breaks normally to validate it. So here on the bottom, 1 touch, 2 touch, a false break down, that kind of validated our trend line. Here on the top we had 1 touch, 2 touch, and then of course last week we had a false breakout of this trend line and a really nasty deep pullback with everything else. Here we are in Ripple, maybe we are finally breaking out this time. Now if I'm wrong about that and this is in fact a wave and this is a 3-wave pullback, I'm going to measure this first swing and project where my targets might be. So from here to here, then the slow like this. I don't know if that's gonna, I think I'm just gonna let it go and see if we break out. Clearly you can see that this is pretty tough resistance at 0.63, and the first time, if everything else is falling and selling off, it may be that we don't break out of here first time. But if we can close and hold above 0.63 in Ripple, I think we are setting up really nicely for more upside. And then we've got this double top level here, 0.74, and then retest of the highs next and a much bigger swing. And I much prefer actually to have a bigger kind of measured move target in Ripple. So we go from these 2022 lows. So if I measure from here, oh, don't worry, I'll line it up from this low. I think if we do it this way, kind of have a measured move target this way, 0.785 would be a pretty good next target. So Ripple battle finally over, Ripple ripping while everything else pulls back. That's pretty cool. Let's see if we can see another breakout and continued move higher from this. Just not betting on it until it actually breaks out, just because there's so much stress going on at the moment. So there we go. Okay, good luck. Good luck tonight. Just remember, it could get a little bit volatile, but just be careful with leverage.